To the land. After leading Cleveland to the city's first championship in 52 years, the Cavaliers and Ty Lue agreed on a 5-year extension worth $35 million, first reported by The Vertical, confirmed by ESPN. Sources have told ESPN that the first 4 years are fully guaranteed, with the fifth as a team option. Lue gambled on himself by not signing an extension when he took over for David Blatt in January. Bet on himself, and it paid off. But, Stephen A., do you think he deserves this contract extension?
He absolutely does. He absolutely does. Tyronn Lue did an outstanding job. I knew he had the right pedigree because he had Doc Rivers, helping him along to get to the point that he got to last year. I sat down and did the interview with him the day after he got the job. He's even-keeled, he's strong, he holds dudes accountable, and he doesn't panic. And I think that goes a long, long way. They made believers out of me because I never believed that they would come back from a 3-1 deficit. I was beyond disgusted with them because of how they played in Game 4. That was the only game that I was critical of LeBron because I thought he didn't show up that game, and I still believe to this very day he had instigated that stuff with Draymond Green and those guys, but it turned out that it worked for him. So, you try everything to win. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. Tyronn Lue knows the game of basketball. Tyronn Lue went from an inside-out to an outside-in attack. He upped the tempo, changed the philosophy that David Blatt had in play. He was obviously able to hold LeBron James, Kyrie, Kevin Love, and others accountable. Acquiring Channing Frye, a part of David Griffin, deserves a lot of credit. But how he utilized them in the playoffs, but then benched them in the finals because you saw that it was a matchup problem because Channing Frye couldn't even get a shot off in the finals. I mean, Tyronn Lue made adjustments, and I think that Steve Kerr has proven to be an outstanding coach. There is no doubt about it. But he got beat. They didn't just get beat as players. They got beat as coaches against Tyronn Lue and Larry Drew and Phil Handy and those boys in Cleveland. And when you consider the fact that Scott Brooks got fired from Oklahoma City and then got the job in Washington, D.C. at $7 million a year, $35 million over 5 years. How the hell are you going to give Scott Brooks that money and you don't pay Tyronn Lue?
Because they thought it meant Kevin Durant.
I'm just saying, I'm being rhetorical there because I'm saying Tyronn Lue is not speculative.
Right.
He's done it.
Yep.
Look,
give him his money, and they did, and they should have.
LeBron was the reason they won the championship. LeBron was a brilliant coach on the court and off. LeBron was the guy who, after they were smoking the whole Eastern Conference, playing the spread pick and roll like they were the Golden State Warriors, bombing from 3, like changing their style of play, LeBron was the guy who said, I got to get Kevin Love going here, and sacrificed the game against Toronto in order to try to do it. And then when it didn't happen, went to a plan B in the finals, and then brought his team all the way back and played out of this universe after not playing particularly well early in the series, having an all-time great finals. So anyone who coaches LeBron James in that circumstance is likely to seem special. However, David Blatt had LeBron James the year before, and when they were down 3-1, I was sitting there going, David Blatt was the coach when they got to a Game 6 without Kyrie or Kevin Love. Boy, Tyronn Lue does not look very good right now, but he looked very good by the end of the series, including some of the defensive changes he made, which kept the greatest half-court offense in the history of basketball by the numbers, the Warriors, without a single point in the last 4 minutes and 39 seconds of Game 7 of the finals. I saw you there. We ran into each other at those finals. One of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. Lue deserves a lot of credit for that. He easily deserves at least this much money in a contract.
He definitely deserves it, and the key word there is adjustments. He made them. That's something that David Blatt wasn't doing much of in the previous finals. David Blatt doesn't deserve to be maligned. But Tyronn Lue does deserve to be celebrated for the job that he's done.
And how about this? Even if it's just making LeBron comfortable, if that's the guy LeBron wants, that's a good enough reason to re-sign him, but it's more than that.
There you go.
No question. Nick Saban stopped by. You weren't here. He said the best talent he's faced since Cam, Deshaun Watson of Clemson. He will be here tomorrow. We are looking forward to that. He came back. It's all right, right? Fitting him very nicely. I like it. Good stuff. So after losing Kevin Durant in free agency to Golden State, the Thunder have turned their attention to locking up Westbrook long-term and will present him with an extension offer. OKC now has the cap flexibility to do so following reports that Dion Waiters has signed with the Miami Heat. Westbrook is set to become an unrestricted free agent next summer. In the long term, he will make more money on a renegotiated extension this season than if he waits to sign a max-level contract next summer, even with the rising salary cap. So, Max, how should Westbrook feel about the situation going on in Oklahoma City?
I want to do a Stephen A. pause here for dramatic effect. Wait a minute. This is a tough one, Stephen A. Because Russell Westbrook, when Kevin Durant wasn't playing the year before last, became the real Russell Westbrook. We saw really what he could do. When Durant wasn't there taking away touches, and Westbrook knew he had unbridled control of the team, he was playing on a per-possession basis, I thought, at least as high as Steph Curry or anyone else in the league, LeBron James, anyone that year, and was a legitimate MVP candidate. You could really see what he could do. The handcuffs were off. And in fact, when Durant came back, you saw he maintained that level, which is why those two guys, even with Ibaka not playing at his best, and even with a team that wasn't quite ready, almost went to the finals, and then who knows. Westbrook is also my favorite player. He is my favorite player. I'm not saying he's the best player. I'm saying he's my favorite to watch because he is unbridled aggression.
You're dancing.
The fire.
Answer the question, Max.
Stick and move.
Go ahead. You're dancing.
He's unbridled aggression, and that makes me love him because how often in your life do you get to see that at that high level? However, without Durant, he didn't make the playoffs, even though the rest of the team wasn't that bad. Didn't make the playoffs. Pelicans edged them out, and they were a worse team. They should have made the playoffs. They didn't. And in fact, this season, again, in crunch time, he and Durant, it maybe wasn't quite working. And Russell Westbrook has to ask himself now, why is this dude leaving me? So the question as to whether or not he should stay in OKC is what's most important to him. Does he want to win a championship, which I still think they can do in OKC because Presti is an amazing GM, and because they still have talent, and because now they have cap room to give him the money, and the cap's going up again next year, etc. Or is what's most important, and then now it's his team, or is what's most important to him to play in a big market and have it his team?
Yep.
How much is enough to satisfy his ego?
What's the priority?
I'm hoping that for Russell Westbrook's sake, that he just wants to win, and from a pure basketball point of view, stays in OKC. However, I suspect that's not going to be the case. I don't think that's enough for him. That aggression he shows on the court is a kind of reflection of his ego, and I love it, but I wonder if in certain ways it limits him.
The direct answer to this question is that Russell Westbrook should do what the hell he wants to do, whether that means staying in OKC or going elsewhere. He is one of the top 5 talents in the game. I think he is big time. I think he is an assassin personified, the most ruthless competitor in the NBA today. Having said that, I don't think there's any way in hell he should sign the max right now. I think that Sam Presti, respected as an executive in this league as well as he should be because he continuously has fielded a contender. The fact of the matter is Sam Presti's resume is good, but it's not great. You lost Kevin Durant, okay? You let go of James Harden. You held your feet to the fire for about $4 million, all right? You know, Reggie Jackson is gone. Then Serge Ibaka obviously is gone. There have been others in the mix in between. There's a lot of talent that has come and gone through OKC. And I'm looking at Sam Presti, and I respect this man. And I've continuously called the Oklahoma City Thunder a stellar organization. They deserve our respect. Please don't get me wrong. But it doesn't refrain me from asking the question, what exactly are you doing to ingratiate yourself with these players? Because if you're Sam Presti, you know, when you let go of Scott Brooks and you hired Billy Donovan, did you talk to Kevin Durant before you did something like that? I'm just wondering. I mean, because when you have a small market team, you have to ingratiate yourself with players in a fashion that makes sure that they're receptive to you. You have to cultivate a relationship to some degree. I am not saying that Sam Presti didn't do those things. I am saying it's not something that comes across as very obvious. The players never, ever speak against him. I've never heard players speak against him. I also haven't heard them speak up for him. They respect him. They respect the job that he's done. They respect they respect the fact that he is the face of the organization from an executive position. But is he that guy that goes about the business of successfully ingratiating himself with players where he's building enough of a connection where they're not walking out the door on you.
There's the player point of view, but there's also who are you GMing for? Well, if you're GMing for, like, the CBA, which is supposed to be about competitive balance, right? In fact, it's just about funneling money from the players to the owners, diverting those funds to the owners. And so if it was really about competitive balance, a team like OKC from a small market or helping small market teams wouldn't feel the bite of the possible luxury tax and would therefore spend more freely. Sam Presti has been functioning under the premise that he can't just sign Harden to a max deal and Ibaka to a lot of money and pay a repeater's tax by putting good pieces around them. Yeah. He's constrained by the fact that ownership is essentially cheap in OKC.
But you're talking about the constraints. I'm talking about having knowledge of it and working around it in a manner that expands beyond dollars and cents. We all know that the cap is a restriction. We all know that you've got to deal with that luxury tax and the specter of it, you know, hovering over you. We get all of that part. But you have two of the top 5 players in the world. James Harden has proven to be a superstar. James Harden, he didn't mind leaving OKC, but he would not have minded staying had you been willing to pay him.
You think Westbrook would mind staying?
Listen, at the time,
in Oklahoma City?
At the time, what I'm saying to you is this. You just lost to Miami. You have an opportunity to come back fully loaded, okay? And what do? You let James Harden go and move him to Houston. We were just finished praising the Chicago Cubs for how they've decided to go for it. Well, Oklahoma City didn't, because they said, well, we still got the crew here. We still got enough of a crew. We're going to maintain competitiveness while at the same time doing other things. And where did that get you? Obviously, Kevin Durant was
hurt. That's ownership. They won't spend.
Well, you know what?
Won't spend.
I think they could be convinced otherwise by somebody the quality of a Sam Presti. How diligent did you work towards them being willing to spend those dollars?
Do you think Westbrook, it's an honest question. I have a question for Stephen A. Smith, who happens to have a lot of sources all around the NBA. Is there any world in which Russell Westbrook would sign a contract extension at this moment to stay in OKC when this is like his real shot to get out?
I would say to you, all that we've been told in NBA circles is that he would love to get himself in a huge market, preferably L.A. But at the same time, this is Russell Westbrook, who's a relatively eccentric dude, and I don't think it'd be wise for me or anybody else to even think we could predict specifically what he's going to do, other than saying L.A., because he's one of those people that loves L.A. more than y'all.
It's a lot.
Yeah, but if they don't sign him, then the question is, should they trade him before the season
They should
starts?
absolutely. You do not wait. If Russell Westbrook doesn't sign a max extension, you either trade him before the season or you trade him before the trading deadline. But they absolutely, positively cannot have Russell Westbrook on the Oklahoma City Thunder for this entire season without a max deal. Then he'd be the second superstar in back-to-back summers you've lost for nothing.
Never get over that.
Can't do that.
We'll leave it there, guys.